This is the halftime show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Sure is that time. It's the halftime show with Omar Duri. I am your host, cover everything sport, international and local. Hope you're having a blessed day wherever you're tuned in around the world, whether it's 95 FM, pulse95radio.com, our app, Sharjah Broadcasting Authority, or if you're chilling at home watching us live on YouTube. What a show we have in store for you today, because I'm bringing my dear friend on the show, Dr. Saida, who is fantastic. So if you're all into nutrition and you want to know more about it, this is the place to be. The only time that you'll be able to get all your questions answered as we're going live on Instagram, on Pulse 95 Radio, on YouTube, and you get a chance to ask the doctor herself all about it. And let me give you a hint of what we're discussing across the hour. Firstly, we are talking about how it all started for her and on her journey. Second, we're talking about the nutrition do's, the things that you should be doing. And if you're not doing, that's something that will definitely help you after this show. Now, it's only right if we're talking about the do's, we also should talk about the don'ts. So we're talking about the don'ts as well across the hour. So then again, you will definitely be spoiled for information and knowledge, because she's fantastic. I've had a chance to sit down with her and actually learn from this lady, and the doctor herself will be taking all your questions across the hour. So if you have anything you want to ask, make sure you text us on 4215 or slide into my DMs here at Omar Al-Duri on Instagram. Let's have a great time, folks, and let's enjoy the show.
This is the halftime show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Sure is that time. It's the halftime show with Omar Duri. I am your host, cover everything sport, international and local. Shout out to everyone who is tuned in, and thank you very much for connecting with me on the hour. And as I said to you before, you're in for a special treat today, because my guest is a doctor who specializes in well-being and nutrition, and she's on the show today. Welcome to the show, Dr. Saida.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
Thank you for coming to my office this time, because last time I was in your office and that was your comfort place. Thank you very much for taking the time out. I know you're super busy, but I have a lot of questions that I'm sure the listeners would love to hear more about. But before we start that, I wanted to ask you, how did this journey start for you in well-being?
Actually, I started my career as a primary care physician.
Okay.
Right? So I would be basically the first person, like people would go to with various of problems. So it can be like
What kind of problems?
anything, like you would imagine. So when you're like a first-line physician, they
Yes.
don't go to a specialist directly. They come to you
Right,
as their
right.
general practitioner.
Yes,
So,
yes.
And actually, it took me only a couple of years to realize that actually just doing prescription, giving the medicine is actually not working. Actually, it works, but not as well as I would love to.
Okay.
So I was thinking, okay, maybe I'm missing something very important here. So, because what I wanted to give my patients, it's not just being dependent on the medicine, but the quality, give them back the quality of their life.
Yeah.
So they can enjoy their life.
Yes.
And be the best
version of themselves. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and actually, it was always quite intuitively we know how nutrition, right? So the food we're eating, so the lifestyle we are living, the quality of sleep that we are getting is so crucial.
Yes.
So those are the fundamental things, the foundation of our health.
Yes.
Even before talking about medication, we
Yes.
need to take care of those things.
Yes.
And with my practice, I learned those simple things actually are able to fix so many things.
Absolutely.
That you don't have to even go to pharmaceuticals,
yeah.
right? So just,
It's a huge responsibility, what you do, being the first line at that stage where you're handling people's lives here, and they come to you for support and they come to you for guidance. Do you ever step out of being a doctor for a second and realize the importance of your role in their lives?
Actually, I didn't think about it. I just was doing my best to do my job.
Yeah.
So and definitely like constantly educating myself
Yeah.
was always a part of it. So
That's a huge part of establishing yourself is consistently learning, obviously. How often do you recap or go into a different course or do different certifications? How often do you do that?
Constantly.
Really?
Constantly. Actually, medical field,
Yeah.
and now it's not only medical field. Now the nutritional science that really, really interesting, because I'm sure everyone who is listening our show right now is aware about nutraceuticals, like vitamins, supplements.
Yes.
Everyone is taking something,
Mhm.
and that trend is for a reason. That trend comes from nutritional science, and it's not even like the pure medical.
Yes.
So it's nutritional science. So, and this kind of those two fields kind of merging right now.
Yes.
So, and it's very interesting to see how that's happening, and multiple things integrating to each other.
Yeah.
And actually, that's how another term of integrative medicine was born.
Yes.
So it's not only just conventional stuff that you're getting in your doctor's office. So now it's conventional medicine integrated with nutritional science, with genetic science, with naturopathic treatment. So let's bring something that we know for centuries, like we as a humankind accumulated for years.
Yeah.
We should not discard that as well.
Yeah.
So we are talking about like Ayurvedic medicine or Chinese medicine here.
Yes.
Like everything comes together to help a patient, person, client, and we basically kind of expanding our toolkits.
Yeah. Has the pandemic raised more awareness on these matters?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think that was a turning point, actually, when people realized. So, because all these studies that we like are repeatedly seeing on the media, being like, let's say vitamin D deficiencies associated with higher mortality, for example, obesity or having some other conditions, health conditions associated with higher risk. So it raised awareness. I think that was a really huge, like other kind of awakening time, I would say, like how the way we live is matter and how much it can change actually in
the questions are flying in here. I'm going to take one question before we come to the break, but then I'm going to get the other questions in as well. Masood is asking from India. He's tuned in from India at the moment, and he's saying, Doctor, how has your journey helped you be more better than before?
Oh, actually, thank you so much for this question. Actually, of course, I am going through my own journey as well. So, but my personal struggle wasn't with nutrition. It was more with the exercise.
Oh, okay.
And you as a coach, that's not a topic of today's show, but since the question came, actually, that was the time when I started exercising, actually, And when I'm trying to motivate my patients, I always like ask them, do you have like a why? Why do you want to do?
What is your why?
What is your why?
Yes,
exactly.
love
So
that.
like, what is your why? So for me, actually, it was I was trying to be best in my medical school or in my studies.
That took all your attention.
It was that's where all my attention. So, and I thought, the more I study, the smarter I am, the better professional I am. And just going through this, like integrative medicine or going through my trainings, I realized actually how important the exercise is. So, and that was like for me a turning point. I joined a
gym?
No, not the gym. I started playing tennis.
Okay, excellent.
But that was like step one, you know? And I always tell my patients, if there's anything that you would love to do, whatever, like tennis, Pilates, dancing, whatever, just start. Just start somewhere. and then okay, and I started playing tennis. Obviously, no physical strength at all. Like just studying for I don't know 30 years.
Yeah.
I don't know 25 years of my life, and but that okay. And now what? I'm playing tennis. So either I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Or I just don't do it at all. So,
right.
but in order to do it well, I have to go to
Practice.
the gym.
Yeah. Okay.
So now that is step 2.
Yes.
So sometimes it's enough just to do a first step.
Yes.
And you never know where it will take you. So
Excellent. By the way, guys, you would have never guessed it because she's super comfortable in the studio, but that's her first segment ever. And you know what? Lucky for you, there's much more to come after the break. We're going to play you some Ariana Grande. And as soon as we're back with Dr. Saida. And by the way, everyone who's asked questions, I'm going to ask her those questions right after the break.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
That time, and I told you it was going to be a great show. And so far, segment 1 has been fire. What a show so far today. Dr. Saida is here in the studio. Thank you, guys. That's for you. Thank you. She's here in the studio answering all your questions. And by the way, can I just say, we have the best listeners because the questions have been flying in. And the doctor was just telling me, she's like, wow, they're really in sync with your program. And yes, they are, because they tune in and they really add value with their questions. And one of the questions that popped up here from Hatim was, what kind of medical test should we do to determine a suitable diet for us?
Actually, that's really, really good question.
Yeah.
I love genetic testing, but actually, even before doing any genetic tests, we all have different goals in life, right?
Yes.
So
very good.
It can be like you're a professional athlete, not professional athlete. I'm a stressed worker, wherever. So, and just because of our lifestyle, we have absolutely different nutritional needs.
Yes.
Just only because of that. When it comes to DNA, actually, it's great to have to know your DNA because yes, that predispose us to certain nutritional deficiencies or just certain higher nutritional needs. And actually, as a foundation, knowing your DNA, not necessarily about the diet, because there's also, I'm aware about those tests like a DNA diet, when they suggest, are you Mediterranean, this and that. I found them quite interesting as well.
Okay.
But I would more go into more medical
testing.
Testing, exactly. So, and checking if you have any genetic predisposition for higher nutritional need or nutritional deficiencies.
Would that be through like blood work?
It will be through blood work or a cheek swab.
Okay, interesting. Now you mentioned foundations there, which I thought was really, really cool. The foundation side of things, a lot of the times with all the information that's out there online, we often get lost in the overwhelming side of nutrition. But the one thing that never changes, and this is why I'm really glad you're here, is the foundation of the things you need to do in nutrition. Right. What are the things you recommend for us to do in nutrition?
Oh, actually, so I really like the trend of personalized nutrition.
Right.
Yeah. But if we are discussing more like a general recommendations, when it comes to nutrition and lifestyle, I would first, let's start from morning, right? So when actually doing multiple blood testing, like tests, fasting for many patients, I saw the trend that recommendation to drink your glass of water with half a lemon in the morning, that totally makes sense.
Okay.
That totally makes sense because...
Why? Why does it make sense?
Because most of us, when we wake up in the morning after that, some people do 12 hours of fasting, some people do more.
And this is regarding intermittent fasting?
And not necessarily intermittent fasting, just normal fasting. Just obviously from dinner until our breakfast,
right?
We don't ingest any food,
Got
right?
you, yes.
And we wake up with more like acidic, I would say, blood.
Yes.
It's just to very simplify it.
Yes,
So,
yes.
and stuff that alkalines our
That's
pH.
a key word right
Yeah,
there.
so it's really great actually to start your day with something like alkalining.
Okay.
I would definitely suggest to have more like a protein based and more like your breakfast should be more like a protein and healthy fats rather than carbohydrates.
Okay. Okay.
And definitely don't miss your breakfast.
Okay. Now this I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people now are jumping on the trend of skipping breakfast or fasted cardio if they train in the morning. And this is great you said this. Why is breakfast so important? And is there a time that you have to have breakfast at or a window?
Ideally, again, we are all very different,
Correct.
right? For
Yeah.
someone, actually having their breakfast, their first meal later in the day might work if they do it for some particular reason and they know why they're doing it. But as a general, I see this is coming from my practice because I see so many people with complaints of fatigue, tiredness, like their circadian rhythms are messed up.
Yes.
So they're having trouble falling asleep, and then in the morning when they wake up, they're like facing lack of energy. So and the point of having your breakfast in the morning is just that sending that signal. So this is morning. So this is just together with the light. This is a signal for our body, for our internal clock to know that it's morning, and it helps to reset, let's say,
Very good.
our internal circadian rhythms. So that's why I usually recommend to have breakfast.
Fantastic. The questions are coming in, Doctor, and we only have an hour. Let me one more question for you before we take a break, and I'm still going to keep asking those questions, so keep them coming in. Quick answer. Especially in Ramadan, what nutrition should we follow after breaking fast at times? Is that similar to what you said in terms of starting it with protein rather than carbohydrates?
Yeah, salad.
Salad?
Yeah, starting with a salad. Yes.
And is that feeding the brain as well as the tummy? Because normally when you're fasting, you just want to eat everything.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but moderation, actually, fasting is a really great time, and it's about moderation. So as long as that main principle is followed, your body will get all the benefits of that holy month of Ramadan and fasting.
Fantastic. And you see, guys, Ramadan's coming up, so make sure you're taking these notes down. All right, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back, but keep those questions coming in. We're having a good time here on the only place to be at 3, the Halftime Show on Pulse 95.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Sure is that time, and we're having a good time here. The vibe is right and the energy is on point on Pulse 95 Radio. I'm here with Dr. Saida from BioLite, and you know what? It's nice because the questions keep coming in, and Masoud, don't worry, I will be asking her that question. Shout out to everyone who is tuned in. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam, my brother. Nice to see you as well, Masoud. Fatima, my mom is always listening, obviously, as well. Hatim, Amda, Florin. Who else do we have here? Another Masoud is here. YOS, Amin, Benoit. Wow, a lot of great people here as well. The Kendra, Richie, Terry, Emmanuel, Hassan, Saleh, Fatima, Fetten as well, Tariq. Wow, thank you guys so much for connecting. Now, before the break, we were talking about the do's, the things that you need to do in nutrition, because let's face it, there's so much information out there and sometimes can get a little overwhelming. Doctor, talk to me about the don'ts, the things we shouldn't be doing that most people do.
Yeah. So, first don't would be don't start your day with coffee.
Okay.
Yeah, so we already talked about the circadian rhythm in the previous segment.
Yes.
So again, just ask yourself, why do you have your coffee first thing in the morning? Is it because you're tired? Yeah, you feel
sleepy.
Sleepy.
Yeah.
Does it help you to wake up? Then is just giving you that artificial boost of energy.
Yeah, interesting choice of word. Artificial boost of energy.
I mean, yeah, it is. Like, it's just this.
Is it a myth? Is having a coffee in the morning a myth for the way we process things?
That again, going process. You mean mentally or biochemically?
Mentally.
Partially, maybe yes. Partially, but just again, for the sake of circadian rhythms,
yes,
just better to delay it. Coffee is great. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
Coffee is great.
Yes.
But it's just better to delay it a little bit so it does not affect your natural circadian rhythm
How long?
The cortisol production. 90 minutes,
okay.
2 hours.
That's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
Okay,
it's not that bad. Exactly.
Okay.
And in the morning, you want to feel naturally
yes.
Awakened,
yes.
full of energy, and ready to start your day.
Yes. You know what? It's Sufyan here is laughing. He's saying we've been lied for centuries. Coffee is life.
Coffee is life. I totally agree with that.
Sufyan's so funny. There was another question. Actually, before, these questions are flying in, by the way, which is fantastic, Doctor. And that's a testament to you being on the show. What other don'ts should we avoid doing in the morning or during the day even, for example, in nutrition?
Another big don't probably don't eat too much carbohydrates in the morning and in between meals.
Okay.
And I'm sure you will agree with me because if you did that continuous glucose monitoring ever, or anyone who done that before,
yes,
they will agree.
Yes.
Because I'm saying that because again, the main complaint that I'm facing in my practice, fatigue and lack of energy.
Yes.
Right? And when we are tired, we are more likely to reach out for something either easy to get, which is usually something carb, like a bread, sandwich, croissant with coffee, by the way, right? Or something, or we crave those sweets.
Yeah.
Right? And again, it gives us that instant kind of energy, but that usually doesn't last too long.
Okay.
And again, after 2 hours, in average, again we feel hungry, and that's only that drives not only our appetite but also our mood, emotions. So focus, and it affects our performance.
Yes.
Right. So if we really want to be like focused, like more stable performance, right, throughout the day, stable level of energy throughout the day, we should avoid those spikes of glucose, because that will exhaust just the whole body going just up and down.
It's a bit of a roller coaster.
Exactly, it becomes like a roller coaster. Exactly.
Amazing. Honestly, wow. Okay, you talked about being lethargic and feeling tired and wanting something that will help almost get us balanced. What can we do to do that? I know we're talking about the don'ts,
right?
But you got me thinking now. What would you advise us to do to keep our sharpness, our energy stable at least, or even sharper during the day?
I really like the data, and I really like to see like our feel, whatever we feel, reflected in the numbers, right? So I see that your audience is very advanced. I'm sure if they didn't do it before, I would suggest to try that continuous glucose monitoring at least at once, and adjust their diet or the food that they are eating based on those readings.
Great.
So try to keep that glucose curve flat.
Yes.
So because we can see. That's again when the personalized nutrition comes in.
Yes.
That what works for me maybe is not working for you.
Correct.
And it's about like exploring ourselves and what works just for us.
Yes,
exactly.
individually,
exactly.
Excellent. I've got one more question before the prayer, okay? Because the questions are flying in. how important is it to have a good nutrition for nourishing your mental health?
All right. That's a really, really good question, actually. So, whenever we are talking about mental health, maybe we should clarify, because there's a different interpretations.
Yeah.
Exactly. But if I'm gonna choose, no, I cannot choose just the one nutrient that's important for our mental health. Okay, but for first, vitamin D.
Okay.
I would say, yeah, especially here, which is very interesting. Living here in the Middle East, when we have so much sun,
Yeah.
right, and we are still lacking vitamin D.
Yeah.
But vitamin D is necessary for serotonin production, right?
Yes.
If we are talking about mental health and like stuff like anxiety and depression, so we are talking about serotonin, right? So vitamin D is essential. Healthy fatty acids are essential. So we must get sufficient amount of fatty acid through the diet.
Give me one more. We've got 10 seconds.
10 seconds. So, and again, stable glucose level.
Yes.
Like a huge impact.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The prayer is just going to go off. But again, I told you this is great. Here we go.
This is the halftime show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. And before we carry on with this episode, I have to give a special shout out to the whole BioLite family and Muna especially for connecting me with the doctor, who has been terrific today on the show. She has been outstanding, and you know what, super grateful for all the questions you have asked the doctor. You've been great. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join us on the show. Doctor, I need to ask you something that we spoke about briefly earlier. We were talking about fasting. How important is fasting, and how does it differ from male to female?
Right. So fasting. Actually, I got interested in fasting. I got introduced to this topic through the longevity medicine. Actually, there is a number of research on fasting. Actually, it's mainly based on animals, but nevertheless, so when we restrict the calories, the amount of calories that we ingest for or restrict the time, right? So the life expectancy in certain animals actually increases. So, and that's how like the trend that was that research from labs and animal studies got translated to humans.
Yeah,
exactly. So, but it seems again, this is something that's been around for centuries,
yes.
right? So, and for example, Ramadan is an excellent example of that.
Yeah.
And I see fasting as another type of hormesis. Basically, when expose our body to a little bit of stress, like, and that activates our defense mechanisms.
Right.
So, to me, that's the main aspect of fasting. But yeah, definitely whenever we are talking about fasting, there's a different types of fasting, right? So there's intermittent fasting, there's a longer fasting, like some people fast for 24 hours, for 36, for 5 days, or there's a fasting mimicking diet, right? So there's a different types of fasting, but in general, definitely for women and men it's different.
How?
So for women, it affects their hormone levels much more than men.
Okay.
Exactly. So probably that's related to our evolutional role.
Yes.
Probably.
Yes.
Yeah. So and not only also another aspect is the initial like a body mass index, I would say. Obviously, for people who have a lower body mass index, it will be more challenging, and for them pretty much like a shorter fast will have the similar biological effect as a longer fast
Interesting.
for let's say average
Yes,
person.
yes.
So it's again everything is highly personalized.
Absolutely. A question here also from Hatem. Is it a must to calculate our daily calories?
Oh, a great question, but that really depends. If the goal is, let's say, weight loss,
Yeah.
right? Weight management, or the opposite, like a building
Muscle.
muscles,
Yeah.
then probably yes.
Okay.
But for the general, as a general recommendation, I usually don't tell my patient to calculate their calories,
Yes.
because I more emphasize the importance of nutrition
Right.
rather than calories, because it's sometimes it gets too complicated.
Yes.
And it's again not always necessary. And I rather recommend them again to adjust their diet under control of glucose monitors,
Yes.
and just to keep that glucose more stable,
Yes.
rather than counting calories.
Yes. You know, Doctor, from you saying that a couple of times already, I think a lot of people have overlooked it slightly regarding the monitoring the glucose, and the fact that you said obviously there's an importance behind it. It's more than just a gimmick, right?
It for sure. You know, it's all about our metabolic health,
Yes.
right? When we are talking about metabolism, we mean how well we are able to utilize those nutrients that we are
Yes.
eating, like carbohydrates, protein, or fat, for energy, right? That's the main. So the more energy our cells produce, the healthier we are, the slower we age,
Yeah.
the more productive we are. Just yeah. And when we have a certain health conditions, when
Yes.
that metabolism is not optimal,
Yes.
so that glucose, for example, is not going into the cells.
Yes.
So it's floating around in the blood. So there's no source of energy for the cell to produce
Yes. Yes.
that
I get you.
energy.
Yeah.
So, and I found it really helpful, because I was able to differentiate people with metabolic syndrome with absolutely normal blood results, and without a metabolic syndrome with it really helps to differentiate if you have metabolic syndrome or not.
Yes.
If you have any issues with
Your metabolism.
your metabolism or
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
Exactly.
I have to say that hour has flown by, and for those that don't know, this was your first radio performance. You've definitely finished on a high, and thank you so much for taking the time out. I think you were great on the show, and hopefully your first experience wasn't so daunting.
Thank you, Omar.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you so much. Thank
My
you.
pleasure. Guys, remember you can catch us every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, 3 to 4 UAE time. And if you do miss the show, don't worry. You can head over to our YouTube channel, Pulse 95 Radio, and you can check out all of our episodes with all of our fantastic guests, like Dr. Saida today, who's been absolutely outstanding on the show. And also, if you prefer a podcast, we're available on Apple, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Guys, it is full time on the halftime show. Thank you very much for tuning in. Doctor, you were great. Thank you very much.